I just couldn't see a Lynchburg without the tea room. We say greeted, seated, eated, entertained, and out the door in 20 minutes or less. We're not going to turn hot dogs and hamburgers and bowls of chili into political divides. They converted an old pure oil gas station into a restaurant in 72 hours. You know, the Texas Tavern is the fourth oldest continually operated restaurant in the state, and Texas Inn is the fifth. You take somebody brand new to the Texas Inn and you say, hey, let me get a hot dog myself and a funny for my friend. We're going to accept our 1-star review for not having enough vegan options.
And put it on a T-shirt.
And we're going to put it on a T-shirt. And we'll show you, Nicole. You wouldn't be surprised if I told you that a cheesy Western is twice as much as what it was 5 years ago. It's not only about serving up a bowl of chili. It's really about serving a greater community.
Welcome to another edition of No Holds Barred. I'm Rich Roth, and my guest today, the owner of the Texas Inn, or as many of us know it, the Tea Room, Dave Saunders. Hi, Dave.
Hey, how you doing? I'm glad to be here.
I appreciate you taking the time to drop by. One of the true institutions here in Lynchburg.
The legend of Lynchburg, yes.
1935. The first Texas Inn opened. You've now got 4.
Yeah, and I look good for my age. You know, I only bought them 8 years ago, so I can only take credit for the last 8 years. But yeah, 91 years old this October. Started with the original location in 1935, and now we have 4 locations.
So there are a bunch of different ways that we're going to go, but let's start with, and then we'll be able to backtrack a little bit more into the history of the Texas Inn, but I found the story about how you wound up buying it pretty amazing, because you grew up in the Lynchburg area, and we'll get into all that, but you moved away, started an ad agency, and now you've got an investment business as well. And you know, you live in Richmond, and lo and behold, you bought the Texas Inn 8 years ago. How did that all go down?
Yeah, I was looking for a lousy investment. No, I was like a lot of you do. I was on the Living in Lynchburg page on Facebook, and I saw a post. And someone had put up a picture of a Craigslist posting, and it said, family restaurants for sale. And it had a picture of a cheesy, a hot, and a bowl. And everybody could figure out what restaurants were for sale, even though the ad didn't say anything about it. And people panicked, and they took it and they shared it on Living in Lynchburg. And there was about 100,000 people commented, and it just got shared all over the country. And I'm sitting in my office in Richmond, and I went, "Oh no, that can't happen!" And my immediate instinct was to call and say, "How can I help?" You know, and I did. I called the restaurant and I said, "Hi, I'm Dave, and how can I help?" And they got hung up on. It was 12 at noon. The owner at the time was busy working the grill because somebody didn't show up. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm an idiot. Let me call back, in a little bit. Maybe at 3 o'clock. They're less busy. I can talk to him." And then I'll call the owner. I talked to him. I let him know that I was there to help trying to find a buyer for the restaurants, because I just couldn't see a Lynchburg without the tea room.
So you called, you said, "How can I help?" You tried to help.
I tried to help. Yeah, I found, I tried to send some investors down. We talked about it for 5-6 months. I made several trips down to Lynchburg. Everybody I sent, it wasn't the right investment. On paper, it looked like a terrible investment. They'd lost money 7 years in a row. And one guy wanted to turn it into a pizza parlor. I'm like, "No, you don't get it." And finally, I sat down and had to have a hard conversation. And I said, "Okay, no one wants to buy this. No one wants to take control of this. So I will buy it." And I thought,
because you know the restaurant business so well?
No, I have no idea about the restaurant business. My grandparents were in the restaurant business, and I used to putter around in the kitchen, when I was a kid, but I didn't know anything about operating a restaurant. But I knew that they had people that had been there for literally generations. There was a server there who literally, when I bought the place, served me as a child. And so there was one person in particular, Rhonda, Rhonda Rankin. She is the boss lady. She runs everything. She's vice president of operations. But she's been there 28, 29 years. And she was not related to the owners or the ownership. Therefore, she was not a manager or in charge. And I recognized immediately that's the perfect person to put in charge. And I did. And she's been our boss for the last 8 years, and she runs the ship.
Okay, so you wind up, or we'll backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
Because you're from Lynchburg. You saw that, man, the tea room's for sale, but you wound up buying it from a gentleman named Eddie.
Yeah.
And Eddie inherited it. Tell that story, because
yeah.
he didn't really want it. It was his dad's business for a long time.
Yeah, Eddie is a great guy. He continues to live here in the Lynchburg area. Great guy, super nice, sweetheart of a guy. His father, years before that, had passed away suddenly. And all of a sudden, the employees are calling Eddie, who used to work there, saying, "Hey, we don't have any chili. Hey, are we going to get paid on Friday?" And he stepped up. He stepped in and he took over his father's business and ran it and as best he could, and opened the Cornerstone location and bought that building over there. But it was ultimately, I think he's burned out. It was too much for him, and he was looking for a way out.
And it doesn't sound like it was his passion. It kind of fell into his lap. And
yeah. I think it's got to, being a reluctant entrepreneur is not a good idea. You got to have a passion for whatever you do, for whatever you own, whatever you're involved in. And I just don't think there was that passion there. My passion for the tea room started at a very early age, literally from some of my earliest memories, all the way through school. And
what is your earliest memory of the tea room?
My earliest memory, I tell the story quite often. My sister, Catherine, who's a year and a half younger, she and I were in school. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a firefighter. And 2 times a month, 3 times a month, their shifts would overlap. She would have to start her work at the hospital at 7 a.m., and he would get off as a firefighter at 7 a.m. So there was literally a 0-second overlap between childcare. My mom would run up 5 till 7 in the morning with 2 sleepy kids dressed in their pajamas and drop us at 5th and Main. And my dad would walk 2 blocks down the street from the fire department, walk us in, and we'd get something to eat, and he'd dash us across town so we could go to our classes at Brookville Elementary School, which is what they called Heritage Elementary School before it was a thing. So yes, it was quite the trip. And regardless of who was driving, they used the downtown expressway like the Autobahn just to get us to school on time.
So obviously a different time back then when you're dropping young children off on the corner of a street.
Yeah. I tell you, like Gen X can handle anything, like literally just dump us on the side of the street. Flash forward 40 years later, actually 42 years later, I think. I just bought the restaurant. I'm talking to the server, and it's a very sweet older lady. And I'm talking to her and talking about how my dad used to drop us off and whatever. And she goes, "I know your dad, Wayne Saunders. He was the fire marshal. Your sister used to have pigtails. Blah, blah, blah. I used to wait on you." And I'm like, oh, my God. Here's 42 years later. The lady who waited on me as a child now still works as a server at the exact same restaurant. And I just remember her being such a sweetheart and, literally taking care of us. It was almost like free daycare, I guess, for a tip on a couple of cheesy Westerns.
Well, I mean, and that's kind of the whole atmosphere of that place, right? Yeah. When, Ashley and I went in yesterday just to refresh ourselves. Really, it was an excuse to go down and, eat at the tea room. But, we're talking to people down there, and, it's described as a melting pot. Wendy was our server, and she's like, "Yeah, I haven't been here that long, just 3 or 4 years." So to your point about people sticking around and it really being, a very different type of environment, she kind of described it like like Cheers, where
Yeah.
you know who's coming in and what they're going to order, and
Yeah, it's funny. Imagine being there for 3 or 4 years and they still refer you as the new girl.
Right.
That's what happens. I have I have one server who's been there for more than 40 years at this point, and she's been there for almost 40 years, and her daughter's been there for 20. And so it's a family affair, and it's become part of their lives. And then it's a special place because the connection I think that the people that are there have with the members of the community who come in. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're wearing a yellow vest or you're wearing a 3-piece suit. They're going to greet you the same. They say, hi, how you doing? Kid around with you. They might give you a nickname. They might make fun of ordering a plain hot dog and ask you if you want, a toy with that. If you're taking too long at the counter and they're like, are you paying rent on that stool? There's just a lot of this kind of banter back and forth that you really just don't have at any other kind of place. And everybody gets welcome. We have a pretty much regular visitor, and I would say he's unhoused. Is the proper way to say that.
Okay.
And
we got to be politically correct.
Yeah, we got to be politically correct. But
don't you dare say homeless.
He comes around, and people try to collectively look after him. And there's a couple of customers that come in, and they will hand the server $20 and say, put this on so-and-so's tab so he can come and eat anytime, even though he doesn't have any money. And we keep like a little side register going so we can keep credit for all that. And people go, hey, how much is in so-and-so's fund? And we're like, oh, yeah, we're good. We got like $50-$60 in there. I think he's going to be fine this week. And there literally are about half a dozen people that will come in to check on him and throw a little bit of money in the pot just for him, And, in the winter, he's sitting there. The 20-minute rule doesn't really apply because it's cold out, and is at the end of the counter, soaking up the free heat, But it's one of those kind of places where everybody looks after each other.
The 20-minute rule, explain.
Yeah, well, it's not really a rule, but the model behind it, the founder of the restaurant back in 1929 in Roanoke and then 1935 in Lynchburg had a really unique kind of business model. And back then it was 10, we served 1,000 people 10 at a time, and now we serve 1,500, 15 at a time. And the idea is that the food had to come out, fast. It's we want to get you in, we say greeted, seated, eated, entertained, and out the door in 20 minutes or less. So there's 5 things we do, and we want to do it in 20 minutes or less. And that means that if you've only got 30 minutes for lunch, you can come in. If you're out working in the field instead, and you're on a construction site, you don't have to get your food to go, and eat it back at the site. You can literally come in, order, eat, pay, whatever, out the door, and literally be out in 20 minutes or less. And that 20 minutes is important because we can get 3 butts on a stool.
In an hour, yeah.
In an hour, right? And that's kind of the idea behind it. And a lot of the ways and the methods that we prepare food is that way. There's no fancy ordering system. There's no technology above the screen. You don't have to tap the thing. The orders are still called out. And we found that even when we enter technology into the process, we totally muck it up. We really do. And it takes longer to accomplish those things. And so we keep pulling back and really only utilizing technology on the back end of things and letting the service side and the operational side kind of run itself.
Dave, some of the stuff that you were talking about and the times that I've been there, it all rings true. It's the friendliness. It's the melting pot aspect where you're right. I mean, it could be a guy in a 3-piece suit and, another guy who's down on his luck, or blue collar workers, and everybody kind of gets along. And the crazy part is, in this day and age, you don't see that anymore. I mean, we're seeing, and I don't mean to get specifically, political here, but we're seeing families being torn apart because they're voting different ways.
Right.
And, one of the things I always loved about sports was didn't matter, right? I mean, sports was the escape from real life. It seems like there are fewer and fewer places where we can escape from real life and just, get in touch with people who aren't necessarily our peers, in one way or another. But the tea room is one of those places.
Yeah, and it's as things have become more, people have become more diametrically opposed on one side or the other of the political spectrum. It's spilled over into our business, and we reject that, and we reject that on social media and everything else. It's like Governor Youngkin comes in and he grabs a couple of cheesy westerns and a Dr. Pepper, which he did a lot during his administration and before his administration because he was a customer way before he ever ran for governor. His son went to Liberty. So he was in Lynchburg a lot. And then Senator Tim Kaine sits down at the counter on our birthday last year, orders a Texas burger and puts it all over Facebook and X and all these other. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, in my expression, and I've told this to all the people at all the stores, we're not red, we're not blue, we're green. Okay? We will take your money if you are a hardcore Democratic socialist or a MAGA Republican. I don't care who you are. We're not going to turn hot dogs and hamburgers and bowls of chili into political divides because the place has always been welcoming. You can sit there and you're more than welcome. If Tim Kaine and Governor Youngkin wanted to both sit there side by side, you are absolutely welcome to do so, gentlemen. You are welcome. But the minute that you start arguing about politics, one of the servers is going to give you a chewing down, and that's the way it should be, and we've made missteps because when we opened our location in Richmond, we had a grand opening, and the General Assembly was in special session, and Governor Youngkin came to our grand opening in Richmond and had about 6 or 7 TV crews and reporters and everything with him. In the middle of the budget debate, he leaves and comes to have lunch at our place. Well, I'm honored.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
Oh, no. We posted on Facebook, and they called me every dirty name in the book, and that I was a fascist, and I was this, and I was that. And when I'm like, the man ate lunch at our place. Right. Like, are you kidding me? Right. So when whatever is closely aligned with the thing of the day, we put something up on social media, we really can't even do that anymore. And we have to actually actively moderate the platforms because people will argue about anything. Mm-hmm. And we have 30,000 people on Facebook, and they will argue over the silliest things. And we have to go back and remind them, we're a hamburger joint. Okay? You don't need to tell us about that. We have a new T-shirt, and I'm very proud of it because it is directly from a Yelp review that we got. And we got a 1-star review on Yelp.
We saw it yesterday, yep.
And Nicole C., whoever Nicole C. is, gave us a 1-star review on Yelp.
Can I guess what the C stands for?
The names have been changed to protect the enemy.
There you go.
But she said the reason why she gave us 1 star is because we didn't have enough vegan options. And to which I replied on Yelp, the name Texas should have given you a clue that we would not have any vegan options at a burger and hot dog place. Right. So that became such a giant viral spread on Facebook. We decided, why not? We'll just put it on a T-shirt. And now all of a sudden we just sold out. The first 119 came in and they were gone between online and store sales. They didn't even make it to Lynchburg. We sold them out in Richmond and online before we could actually get them here. And then we had to triple the order, and now they are available at the store if anybody wants one, but they're a lot of fun.
So a question about Nicole C. Was she in Richmond?
Yes, that was in Richmond, yeah.
All right.
That was in Richmond. Yeah,
I'm,
we know that from the
Lynchburg's changing a little bit, but that wouldn't be the one that I would expect to come from Lynchburg.
Well, we've had people give us 1-star reviews because our name was Texas and we didn't have brisket. It's like, okay, I get that, And then another guy was talking about the ambiance was terrible, the noise was loud, and the hostess was screaming orders at the cook who was standing only 3 feet away. And I thought, man, your expectations of what we are, like we would have had white tablecloths and flowers on the counter and
dude, you just don't get it.
Dim lights and soft music playing.
You don't get it.
Yeah, but I'm like, your misinterpretation of what we are doesn't qualify slamming us with 1 star, but it happens. But we've got a lot of loyal folks, and I think it's one of the things I'm most proud of. Like, we've got 4.6 across the board at all 4 stores on Google, and like the finest restaurants in town don't have a 4.6. I think William and Henry's a 4.4. It's like, but people are happy enough to give our dinky little diner a 5 stars on a review page.
I mean, Dave, isn't it all about what your expectations are, right? I mean, you're not going in there expecting a fillet or a prime piece of Wagyu beef. Yeah. I mean, you're going in there, and that's what I was saying before. Like, dude just didn't get it, right? I mean, if you're expecting to go in there for vegan options or for
your
peace and quiet, right?
Will be dashed. Yes.
Yeah, I
mean, we have sandwich boards that we put in front of the Harrisonburg and Richmond locations, and sometimes the Cornerstone location, and we're having a lot of fun with it. We've always had a lot of fun with the T-shirts, and then we're having fun with the signs, and so. One of the ones we put up in Richmond was open, but don't expect too much. And it ended up, one of the guys at Channel 6 took a picture of it, posted on the CBS 6 website. So even the stuff that we put on the outdoor sign, but we've had the one in Harrisonburg this week says, great food, horrible service. And so, they're like, hey, do you want me to write what on the sign? I'm like, yeah, trust me on that. And so we put these little things out, the T-shirts, they're all a lot of really tongue-in-cheek kind of T-shirts. We've got one that says good, fast, cheap, just like your mama. That's been a very popular seller. The 1-star vegan shirts. We just have a new batch of light blue ones that came in recently, and it says it ain't easy being cheesy. And there's a cartoon cheesy Western with a bite out of it, and that's been very popular. But yeah, it's that kind of slightly irreverent kind of tradition also goes back to signs, that are still hanging in the stores from, we don't cash checks or play with bumblebees. And I have to explain this to Gen Z, like, what does this mean? And I'm like, okay, well, back in the day, people would write checks. Okay, it wasn't Venmo. They would write checks. And then sometimes those checks, would bounce or not have enough cash. And therefore, you get stung. Or if you play with bumblebees, you can get stung. And then they get it.
The light goes on.
Yeah, but ice cold buttermilk in a mug deep enough to swim a horse. ... a very small horse. These are things that were supposedly hysterical back in 1935, but they're still on the wall. And part of that tradition of maybe late night, 1 a.m., and you're getting a little loud because you've had too many drinks. And then Big Mama, takes her big stick out and whacks the counter and says, hush your lips, don't make me throw you out of here, and these kind of all these stories through the years lead to wonderful moments. There's a family in Richmond, the Watson family. They're originally from here. I think he went to Lynchburg College. I think and the whole family is just fans of the restaurant. Their Christmas card is 4 generations of Watson men sitting at the counter. at the original downtown location, and that is their Christmas card. And you're like, well, that's 4 generations, and they're like, yeah, well, and the great grandpa is like, yeah, well, my dad brought me here, and if he was still alive, he'd be here too. Or the 90-year-old seamstress who is 1 year younger than the Texas Inn, who comes into the restaurant over at Cornerstone 2 to 3 times a week, and it gets the same thing. She gets a hot all the way, and she gets a Dr. Pepper, and that's her meal. And she is thriving and still working, at 90 years old. And I get this perspective, like, this place is 91 years old. It's 1 year older than she is. That's, but then I get humbled, like we're about 3 years younger than Willie Nelson.
You have an advertising agency. You have an investment business. But I mean, just seeing the smile on your face, I mean, I don't want to say this is the crown jewel of your business portfolio, but you could tell the passion that you've got for it.
It is fun. It's as an investment, it's been a terrible one. It is a passion project. I often joke with friends and family and others that I own 3 businesses and one .org. I have one nonprofit, 3 businesses and one nonprofit. And it's unfortunate because the other businesses can pay for me to play with this nonprofit. In this day and age, it's tougher than ever, but it's certainly, you're right about it. It's the passion, it's the love to have for the traditions and for the memories and for the people that are there and for the thousands of customers. It's okay, if we just make enough to get by and we can keep the tradition going. My commitment is, I want to see it become 100 years old, and I want to be there when it happens, and that'll be a big party.
We'll talk about the business side of it in a little bit, because that was really some of the stuff you told me yesterday was really, fascinating in terms of, how it operates and the not the motto, but the business strategy and all that. And we'll talk about that. But let's talk a little bit about the history of it. You mentioned that the first one opened in Roanoke. The one opened here downtown in 1935. So it's 91 years old.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about the recipe, and there are stories and rumors. Tell us the truth. How did it all get going?
Yeah. So the founder of the Texas Tavern in Roanoke, Isaac Nick Bullington, was visiting San Antonio, Texas, and he ate at a chili parlor there 3 or 4 days in a row. He just loved the chili. And he loved what they were doing, and he begged the owner for the recipe, and finally the owner sold it to him for $5, which was a significant sum in 1927, I think, when he bought it. And he turned that chili and the relish recipe and basically opened up the Texas Tavern in Roanoke with 10 seats. And 1929.
Is that where the name Texas comes from? Because you got the recipe?
The recipe's from Texas, yeah.
Okay.
That's the Texas connection. And then the sandwiches being called the Western and like the Denver sandwich and all these things basically were what Virginia thought Texas was. And even the little white building was kind of shaped somewhat like the Alamo and all this kind of San Antonio influence. Imagine in the middle of the Great Depression, you're selling 5-cent hamburgers, and you sell so many of them. Business is so good during the Great Depression that you come to Lynchburg 5 years later and you open up a second one. And that's what he did. And it was identical. And it was right there on Main Street, about 2 blocks down from where we are now. And the identical building and everything else. But unlike the one in Roanoke, they didn't own the land. They owned the building, but not the land. And so I think it was in 71, 1971, it was torn down, and they moved all the equipment down the street to our current location, the new location that's been there for, almost 60 years. And then it's been there ever since. They converted an old pure oil gas station into a restaurant in 72 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think they had to worry about building permits and the city inspections and all that. So they were able to move pretty quickly. They expanded to 15 stools from 10 stools. And then the restaurants were under different ownership since 1942. And so there's a line of succession in Lynchburg from the Wright family to the Ward family to the Eagle family to the Saunders family. So that's the lineage. The Bullington family still owns the one in Roanoke, and Matt Bullington is a friend of mine. I know him. He's a great guy. So there's no beef between us.
Same recipe over there?
Yeah. So same stuff, same recipe. I'm not exactly sure because people say it's very different and what may have evolved through the years. But I do know that we make our product in-house. So we don't buy the chili. We don't buy the relish. We make it all in-house. And that's one of the things that I'm very proud of because 8 years ago, several things were outsourced. And there were some shortcuts taken. And the burgers were only 2.5 ounce patties. And now they're 2.8 ounce patties the way they were originally. So, and we used a higher grade beef. And we started making the relish in-house and from scratch. And so all those things I think have really made a difference.
You said the previous owner, and I think if memory serves, it was Eddie, the son, who kind of was forced to take over it.
Yeah.
But he made the chili in his garage?
Well, the chili got mixed up. So it's the chili, which is a super secret recipe that only a few human beings know of, is a very measured mix of spices. And previously, it was being mixed up either in a office above the Cornerstone location or in a garage or different places because it's a big dusty mess. You have to wear a mask and do that together. But no matter how much they did, there was always human error. So we actually took the recipe with the exact ingredients, the exact dimensions, the exact right chipotle chili powder with the right Scoville count, and turned it into kind of a scientific, process. And now we have it bulk made and mixed and packaged as a facility in Petersburg. And so all the stores get the exact same chili. So somebody says, oh, yeah, well, the chili at downtown just tastes better than the one at Cornerstone. Well, the chili's actually made at Cornerstone. So, and it's brought over here because we don't have the space,
right?
To make it. But all the chili, all the relish, everything else is now consistent. Because
sometimes it's just the environment, though, right? I mean,
right.
Because I remember, having food at my grandmother's house, and my mother would have the same recipe. I'm like, doesn't taste like grandma's. And maybe it was the big pot that she had that was 50 years old, or just the downtown location. It's just the memories, all that could be a factor, couldn't it?
Yeah, it is. But you know what? I've learned in this business, the more I've been in this business, the more I've learned that recipes are science, and the temperature and the dimension and the exact ingredients and the process by which they're done or which they're stirred or the amount of heat that gets applied to making chili beans or whatever else, how long the chili beans cook on the thing before they're just right, they're al dente, or they mushy, and then will they mix in with stuff. And I find out every day, none was more apparent during COVID. And this is one of the things is like these little battles during COVID. Not only did you have to battle the Department of Health and Department of Labor and Industry and all these things, which just made it almost nearly impossible to run a restaurant during those years. But there was a certain brand of apple cider vinegar that we use and buy in bulk to make the relish. And they shut the factory down.
Huh.
And so somebody had the bright idea, well, we'll just use this brand X. Oh,
really?
Yeah. The science of that it needed that particular acidic level in the. So then I have a team of people going to every Food Lion and every Kroger, literally from here to Richmond, buying up every single a bottle of this apple cider vinegar so we could make the product the same. And then ultimately, I think it was 6 or 7 months later, they opened the factory back up and the shortages were gone. But we had to scavenge for apple cider vinegar.
That's wild.
Probably in a 50, 60 mile radius. Yeah, like Charlottesville, we're buying. So I apologize. So if you were at your Kroger and you couldn't find you couldn't find the apple cider vinegar that you liked, that was us. Literally for months and months and months.
You talk about the recipe. Only a handful of people know it.
Yeah.
It's actually insured.
It is insured, yeah. The recipe for the Texas in hot dog chili has a $2 million policy on it.
How does that work?
It's an indemnity policy. If the recipe is published or shared, it gets taken by a competitor or any other list of 17 different pages of stuff. If they don't protect the exact ingredients and amounts and the process by which it's mixed, if they share that information, they owe us $2 million. And that's...
so this is with it's not with an insurance company per se, or is it?
Yeah, well, it's with the company that mixes the chili, but they had to buy a policy to insure it. So,
okay.
And then... Yeah. So I hope I never collect on that policy because that means that somebody would have shared the recipe. So,
man, how do you keep it secret?
You have some very, very loyal people, and then also limit the one of the things about it today is having it mixed at that company. I share with them, and the machines put it together and mix it up in the exact amount in each bag, and then each bag comes in. And they open it up and they put it in to the chili, so they don't know what's in it. Also,
so it's the spices that they're mixing.
Yes, the spices,
okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Only the spice bag mixture, or the spice mixture bags. And also the boxes themselves are labeled wrong. They have about three ingredients on there that we don't actually put in the chili. There's like garlic powder and something else on the back of the box. And so people go, oh, okay, yeah. And then they think, well, that's the recipe. No, it's not, because we've even put wrong labels on it. We've gone to great lengths to keep this recipe, because if you think about it, it is from 1927. It's almost 100 years old. And it is the key for two legendary businesses that are still in business, the Texas Tavern and the Texas Inn. The Texas Tavern is the fourth oldest continually operated restaurant in the state, and Texas Inn is the fifth. Wow! And
go ahead.
No, I was going to say it named as a Virginia Legacy restaurant last year by the Virginia Restaurant Travel and Lodging Association. They selected us and Pierce's Barbecue in Williamsburg, and the Aberdeen Barn down in Virginia Beach, and Joe's Inn in Richmond, and another restaurant up in Loudoun County that's been around since the 1800s. And those were the 5 legacy restaurants of Virginia. And they brought us into Richmond, into the capital, and made a proclamation and made us feel fancy all weekend.
And we're talking with Dave Saunders, owner of the Texas Inn here in Lynchburg, 2 locations, downtown in the Cornerstone, one in Harrisonburg, and now one in Richmond as well.
Correct, yeah.
All the same vibe?
Yeah, surprisingly similar. And it starts with a silver counter and red stools. I've tried to make the same exact dimensions of an L-shaped counter. I would say that Harrisonburg and Richmond are more like downtown than Cornerstone is.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cornerstone feels a little different, a little newer, a little...
Yeah. When they were putting that building together with the previous ownership, I think that they kind of led the discussion rather than the ownership leading the discussion on how they wanted everything. Mm-hmm. Whereas I've been able to open up the Harrisonburg one and the Richmond one with really as close to the vibe and look and feel and signage and everything else as I can with the original downtown location.
You mentioned... well-known people, famous people, politicians. Rattle off one or two who have really surprised you that you're like, oh my God, he or she was in?
Yeah. I was shown a picture, although the lady wouldn't give it me, but it was Ronald Reagan with Jerry Falwell at the counter.
No way, really?
During, I think it was the 79 presidential run. Reagan had come to speak at Liberty and took him for lunch to the Texas Inn. Bob Hope came to Easy Glass Auditorium years and years ago for some sort of charity show. And they brought him chili dogs. And it was more recently, I would say, political figures, but also bands, like Uncle Cracker, was in last year. And our hometown, Phil Vassar. Golly, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Phil. I forgot your last name for a second. Phil Vassar is, I would say, a Texas Inn super fan. I mean, he comes in, he does his charity event every year. He brings himself, his band. Taylor Rodriguez, the Elvis impersonator guy. I mean, every time I turn around, there's a picture of someone, whether it's a politician or a celebrity or a band member or something, and we're like, oh, cool, and we'll take it and we'll post it up there.
You said Taylor and then paused, and I'm like, there's no way Taylor Swift was in there.
No T-Swizzle. No Taylor Swift.
No, Travis Kelce, I could see that.
Yeah, Travis Kelce's brother is the kind of guy that would come to the tea room, I think.
And you have a story about shipping it overseas to the embassy in London?
Yeah. So every day there's a bizarro request of somebody somewhere. In Richmond the other day, we got a catering order for 400 cheeseburgers. And we're like, okay, sure you don't want cheesy westerns? No? Okay, cheeseburgers, fine. And it was for a Lowe's employee appreciation event. But they were like, we need them in 5 hours. So, and we got it done. But one of the weirdest requests was apparently there was a high-ranking official. I don't know if it was the ambassador or whoever it was, but at the American Embassy in London, they were going to have a birthday party, and they wanted to have tea room chili dogs all the way. They wanted to have hot dogs, the relish, the chili, the onions.
And this guy was from Lynchburg, right?
And this guy apparently was from Lynchburg, and that's what he wanted for his birthday. And he was trying to basically tell them it's impossible, and they were like, we're going to do whatever we can. So we said, yeah, sure. And so we got together about $70 worth of food, and packaged it and froze it, and it cost $700 to ship it because you had to ship it overnight. So yes, we didn't make the money on the shipping, but we were able to put it together and get it over to them, and it arrived, and they cooked it, and they wrote down the instructions on how to do everything, and he got his tea room chili dogs for his birthday. So
crazy.
And since then, we've worked through a service called Gold Belly, and we will send a hot dog kit or a Western kit or hot dog chili or relish. We will take it, freeze it, package it, and ship it to any of the 50 U.S. states. And we've actually shipped to all 50 states now.
You no longer offer only Jesse Jones hot dog.
Yes. The bright red, do not worry, folks. Do not run. Do not panic. The bright red Martinsville Speedway Jesse Jones style red Southern hot dog is 84% of every hot dog we sell. 16% of the hot dogs we sell are Nathan's hot dogs, which are an all beef hot dog. They're slightly more. They're 50 cents more. But we give 50 cents of that hot dog to Special Olympics of Virginia. We call it a Katz dog, and it's named after Jeff Katz, radio personality in Richmond and TV personality up there. And we have that partnership with them since last October.
I love the story on this. Why did you add Nathan's hot dogs?
Well, we had to add something because our neighbors from the north potentially,
Translation, damn Yankees.
yes, our neighbors to the north, especially in Harrisonburg, where every single student, it seems like, is from north of the Mason-Dixon line. We're very scared, and I mean frightened, of a bright red hot dog. And so we had to bring in something else, and we found that the 1010s were the same size and weight and everything else with Nathan's, and just love the taste. It's an all-beef hot dog, so if you don't eat pork, maybe for religious reasons or whatever, you can still have the all-beef hot dog. And Nathan's is a good quality brand, and so we decided to bring them in. And I got to tell you, it's nothing better than a Nathan's with that chili relish and onion. Mm-hmm. Get them all the way.
I told you I'm from New York, and there are 3 types of hot dogs that I'll eat. My favorite is Nathan's by far.
Yeah.
Sabret is the other, yep. And Boar's Head.
Yeah, Boar's Head got a great hot dog. The Sabret's got a real good snap. Yeah, the New York style snap. We had Frank Fleming from Barstool Sports come in a couple of years ago and do his hot dog reviews. We got a grand slam, like a double instead of a home run, because the dogs didn't have snap. He said we would have had a home run on his scale of doing things. And he's a diehard Mets fan and a New Yorker, and so he did really like the chili and relish. But he was there to review the hot dogs, but he fell in love with the cheesy westerns, actually. And it was funny. They had to get him for the whole film crew and take a whole bunch over to the ballpark because he was throwing out the first pitch.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Other changes, you added Nathan's hot dogs, for us damn Yankees. What other changes have you made since taking over the Texas Inn?
One of the first things I did was, believe it or not, pork and beans were on the menu. And I don't know why, but when I went in the kitchen and I saw a bunch of cans of Van de Kamp's pork and beans that were over a year expired, I said, hey, when was the last time somebody ordered pork and beans? And they were like, how many cans are missing from the case? I'm like, none. So apparently no one had ordered pork and beans in years, yet we were still had it on the menu. So I'm like, all right, throw the cans out, easy peasy, take it off the menu. The very next day, I can't believe pork and beans off the menu. I'll never come back here again. Fries. We added French fries. And I still have a couple of people mad at me because we started selling French fries. But like I was telling you,
a burger joint.
It's a burger joint,
hot dog joint with no French fries. That's crazy.
The sales of chili beans went down when we ordered French fries, right? So there's a little bit of a trade-off because the chili beans were the side. And so the old school folks get that. But the young kids, that come in from JMU or come in from VCU or other colleges, Lynchburg College, Randolph-Macon, Liberty, they want fries. I mean, they're addicted to chicken nuggets and fries, right? So we have chicken nuggets and fries, and I always tease a college kid that, congratulations, you get the kid meal. You're not getting a toy. So there's a few things like that. We've left, traditional items on the menu, like the Denver and the funny is still there. You ever had a funny?
I have not had a funny, but we know someone who will only eat a funny, does not like hot dogs.
The best part about a funny is you take somebody brand new to the Texas Inn and you say, hey, let me get a hot dog myself and a funny for my friend. And you don't tell them what it is. And then they bite into the hot dog bun and there's no hot dog and everybody laughs. That's funny. That's from 1935. It's still on the menu and it's still funny. So we have to have that tradition stay with us. Our Cornerstone location had mozzarella sticks.
Before you move on,
yeah,
the guy who eats the funny, Dennis Carter.
Oh, yeah, Dennis likes a funny.
Dennis Carter.
That's awesome.
Doesn't like hot dogs. He's like, put it all on the bun.
There you go.
And I'm sitting there looking at him like, what the hell's wrong with you, Dennis?
It's funny because a lot of the servers through the years called that the vegetarian option. But the problem is the chili is all beef. I've had people swear up and down like, no, you use soy protein or whatever in chili. I'm like, no, it's beef. It's actually ground beef. It's not... and that's one of the things is this is a true meat. There's meat, onion, spices, shortening, and water. And that are the 4 ingredients for the chili. And they're cooked in 24-quart pressure cookers, massive pressure cookers. And we're at the point where we're making chili and relish literally 5 to 6 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah, we that much product.
You were going to say something about mozzarella sticks.
Yeah, it was so odd. I had no idea. And I saw it on the sign when I went to Cornerstone when I first bought it. I'm like, mozzarella sticks? What the heck is that? Well, apparently somebody asked, and the ownership said, sure, we'll put mozzarella sticks on. And I'm like, there's a theme here. Okay. And mozzarella sticks. And so you only got 4. They were the most expensive item on the menu, and only a couple people ordered them. So I'm like, all right, out. And then I get a call. Like, I can't believe you took mozzarella sticks off the menu. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Here's the thing. I buy a box with 500 mozzarella sticks in it. Okay. And you buy 4. Okay. I have 496 left over that are going to go bad. And therefore, unless I charged you $200 for your order of mozzarella sticks, I can't make any money on that. Do you understand? And they were like, yeah, it's just sad. Just wanted to let you know that we were sad about that. I'm like, okay, no problem.
Just sad.
I said, well, maybe there's something else I can do for you. So, but yeah, no more mozzarella sticks.
Floats.
Ice cream floats. Yeah. We have Texas Inn has always been about variety. We have one flavor of ice cream, vanilla. But with vanilla ice cream, you can put it in root beer and you got a brown cow. You got a root beer float. You can put in orange soda and you've got a dreamsicle. You can put it in cherry Coke and you have sissy britches, which is a term back from the 1920s and 30s. It's what they called a cherry Coke float.
A what? What's it called?
Yeah, a sissy britches.
A sissy britches.
Yes, we were accused of being
britches, like pants.
Yeah, well, back in the 20s and 30s, sissy britches were basically a kind of sexy women's underwear that you could get out of the Sears catalog.
Oh, okay.
All right, and you put ice cream over top of a Coke. Okay, and they didn't have cherry Coke in the 20s. You had to add the cherry sauce on top.
Okay.
So when you added the red lines on top of the white ice cream, it looked like women's lingerie. Therefore, they called it sissy britches. So we have that. However, in Richmond, I had to take sissy britches off because customer complained that we were being sexist by naming our things after a 100-year-old cherry Coke float.
So figure, man.
Yeah, some days you just can't win.
Those are the people. I mean, be honest. There are people that you're just like, you know what? This place isn't for you. Please just go.
Yeah, and it's true, and it's easy to go, by the way, this place is not for you, just go away. But that's not really traditionally our vibe.
Yeah.
We serve all. We're going to try to accommodate you, and but sometimes.
But like the vegan chick.
I can't,
there's not enough vegan, please.
And it gets to the point where you go, okay, we're just going to give up on that one. Yeah, we're going to accept our 1-star review for not having enough vegan options.
And put it on a T-shirt.
And we're going to put it on a T-shirt. And we'll show you, Nicole. And people are on there going like, I wonder if Nicole can see this. And I wonder if Nicole bought one. And I'm like, have no idea. I'm sure she blocked us after we said, what are you talking about? After the review. But
well, you mentioned the T-shirts earlier, but that's also new.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when I got there in 2018, they had always sold their, one of the traditional shirts, the black shirts and the coffee mugs and stuff like that. And they had not ordered them in years. And literally people were coming in asking every day, oh, by the way, do you have any mugs? Do you have any T-shirts? So that was the first thing. And then that was in October. We ordered product. In the end of October, first part of November, the whole second section that used to be storage, we actually took that, renovated that, and made it a store for merchandise and product. And it was a big gamble, are they going to buy the shirts and the hats and the mugs and the this and the that? And then people came running and they bought it. And it went from 0% of revenue to now almost 20% of total revenue.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, if you add up all of our third-party sales if you add up our third-party sales, which is our delivery services and stuff through Grubhub and Uber Eats and all that, plus the merchandise. The merchandise is 20, third-party delivery is 30. Those two items that I brought in are literally half the revenue of today's operation.
Wow. Okay, so back to the business side of things. And, you said before you own 3 businesses and one.org.
Yeah.
And, you talked about the fact that this is a labor of love and it's not necessarily a super profitable business. But some of the changes you've made have made it sustainable.
Yeah, I think so. Like I mentioned a second ago with the merchandise and third-party delivery, the fact that you have a website where you can order the food or you can order the merchandise. All these things have helped us make it more sustainable. But also, as you see more mom and pop individual stores kind of dying off, it's because that generation decided to retire or they tried to pass it to the second generation. The second generation flopped at it. Sadly, the independent operation that hasn't modernized, that can't get buying power and can't get negotiating power, is going to have a hard time succeeding. And one of the reasons for the expansion is because, well, one, we wanted to bring it to Harrisonburg and Richmond and, let everybody else enjoy the experience of a late night cheesy Western, but also get more buying power. So we're the largest buyer of the Jesse Jones hot dogs now in the U.S. We have a very cool marketing partnership with Coca-Cola Consolidated, and that pays dividends for us as well in terms of volume. During COVID, when no one could find a bottled Coke, we had them because it was in our contract that we had to have them. And they drove up from Charlotte with a semi and gave us tons and tons of free product because we called them out on their contract. And we were the only place in town that had the little baby Cokes. Those sort of things, and leveraging those kind of business decisions and that kind of buying power and everything else has allowed us to keep the cost down because the COVID and the inflationary period during the last administration was very detrimental. You wouldn't be surprised if I told you that a cheesy Western is twice as much as what it was 5 years ago. And it is. And I hate that. But I make less of a margin today than I did when the sandwich was half as much 5 years ago. You also have to understand that minimum wage has more than doubled during that time, and real earnings and every single cost from propane to fire the grill over at Cornerstone to the phone bill to the insurance to everything else is just literally doubled and tripled operating costs in some areas. And so when, the cheesy Western goes up 50 cents and everybody raises holy hell about it, there's the one person on earth that does not want to raise prices first is me. Okay? I don't want to do that. It's a reaction to what the market is. And it's the biggest battle we have every day is keeping the cost down because every day something else will, your coolant, your fire suppression system goes out in the middle of COVID. Congratulations, Mr. Saunders. You're going to be the proud new owner of a $50,000 fire suppression system because the one at the downtown location can't be serviced anymore because it's too old. And by the way, the fire marshal says if you don't have it done in 72 hours, he's shutting you down.
Dave, you shared a story with me that I'd love for you to share again about a prosecutor. You're talking about all different types of people and all different from all walks of life.
Yeah.
Sitting at that counter. This is a great story.
I was a teenager. I think I'd probably just learned to drive, and my dad said something about, hey, come down to the tea room, have lunch. And so I'm sitting at the counter. My dad, who was the fire marshal at the time, was sitting next to me, and then sitting next to him was a prosecutor and a friend of my father. And then on the other side was a guy that looked like he'd had a really bad day. And he was kind of downtrodden. He wasn't dressed very well, and he ordered his food, and the man turned to the prosecutor and he goes, I know you. And he goes, yeah, where from? He goes, hey, you look really familiar too. And the guy says, yeah, you sent me to prison last week. And the prosecutor said, oh, yeah, I remember your case. Yeah. Oh, yeah, what are you doing here? And he goes, I'm having my last meal before I go to jail. And he said, oh, yeah. He goes, I remember your case, and you're a good guy. And if you keep your nose clean, you'll get out in like 16, 17 days. Here's my card. Come see me. I'll help you get straight. I'll help you get a job. And he kept his promise. And the two of them, he found the guy a job at the city jail, like cleaning up. And the two of them stayed in contact with each other and became friends. And the man went on to be a good family man, got a great job and everything else. And I think they even asked him to speak at the prosecutor's funeral. And it's like that kind of story, just sitting there and just visualizing that happens every day. Those kind of connections happen when you bring very different people together in one small environment and then break bread together.
You touched on inflation. And I guess this isn't unique to the Texas Inn, because you've talked about it as a marketing guy, as a business guy.
Yeah.
But three big keys to being successful are to have something good, get it out fast, and make it cheap.
I learned a long time ago, particularly in the branding world, that if you wanted to build a great brand and you wanted everybody to love you and everybody to know you and have a successful company and a good reputation, you had to break the iron triangle. And that's the triangle of good, fast, and cheap. And normally we always hear, oh, good, fast, and cheap. Pick two. If you want it fast and cheap, it's not going to be any good. And you want it good and cheap, it's going to take you 12 weeks. So you just can't get all three. And I realized the genius of the Texas Inn model is that I can serve you good food. I can serve it to you and get you out the door in 20 minutes or less. And I can serve it to you at a very reasonable price. Even with inflationary price increases and all that, that's the hardest thing for us, to keep down the prices right now and still have it. But compared to everybody else, you just can't get a $5 hamburger anymore anywhere. And the fact that it used to be a $3 hamburger bugs the crap out of me. And now it's a $5 hamburger, and I make less money on the $5 hamburger than I did on the $3 hamburger. It is part of that. And if you break the iron triangle, and if you can do those three things, you'll have success in business. You'll have happy customers. You'll have a long life. Almost 91 years proves that point. And then you'll have brand champions. People come to our restaurant and buy baseball caps and T-shirts and shot glasses and other stuff with our logo on them because they've had some sort of emotional connection and attachment to an old burger joint. That's one of the things I think I really did recognize, back in 2017 when I was thinking about it, 2018 when I pulled the plug on buying the restaurants. It's not only about serving up a bowl of chili. It's really about serving a greater community. And I felt like places like Harrisonburg and Richmond really needed those vibes. So we're doing our part there as well.
And as far as the success of the restaurant at those places, I mean, we know the success here in Lynchburg. Is it going over as well there?
Yeah. Harrisonburg is crazy from mid-August to mid-May.
Students.
When JMU students are there, it is morning, noon, and night. And at night, we have to have extra staff. We have to have someone working the door to affect crowd control.
Wow.
Yeah. And we also, at the Harrisonburg store, there's a to-go window. And so you'll see them lined up on the to-go window, and you'll have them lined up at the other door to come in. Richmond, same sort of thing. But believe it or not, Richmond is a breakfast and lunch and early dinner crowd. And it's not the late night kind of thing that you would think down here that you see at the tea room, where there is a line on a Friday or Saturday night, at both locations. In Richmond, they're just now discovering it, almost 2 years after we opened. But yes, they've been successful. And we could survive just with the amount of people who moved from Lynchburg, went to college in Lynchburg, or somehow affiliated with Lynchburg in those markets.
Do you get a lot of, oh my God, when did you open one here?
Yeah.
Is this the same?
Yeah, we've been in Harrisonburg almost 5 years, and every day or so somebody will go, wow, you have one in the valley? I'm like, yes, we do. Where is it? Main Street. Literally right there on Main Street. Oh yeah, giant white building with the big logo painted on the side of it. It's also winning new fans. Winning new. We've got now kids that came in as freshmen at Harrisonburg that have now graduated. And now coming back for JMU football games. So it takes a little while to build up some of those traditions and stuff, but we've been very happy. And Richmond is a market where the third party scene dominates. It's a much bigger market than Lynchburg or Harrisonburg. Mm-hmm. So we sell more DoorDash and Uber Eats at the Richmond store than we do on the other three combined.
Wow.
Yeah. We're actually selling more out the door on third party than we are in-house.
And this is sort of a public service message for people who want to order it to go.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, you were saying that if they order on your website.
Yeah, it's the biggest kept secret around. I try to let everybody know. If they go to texasin.com and they just click on the location and order it, it's commission-free ordering. Yeah.
So you don't pay the extra fees?
No, you don't pay the extra fees on DoorDash. You're getting the free delivery, and it comes right to your house and everything else. If you buy it on DoorDash's platform, there's a commission fee and everything else. But if you just go straight to the website, you can click, you can buy it through DoorDash, and there's no commission. And it's a way to get it same way as you get the pickup prices if you called on the phone. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So tell all your friends and neighbors to go to texasin.com to order the food rather than going to DoorDash.
What's next?
Next, we've been working on a franchise system, trying to take the beauty of the Texas Inn simplicity and replicate it, because we've got I've traveled to New Orleans to talk to people that wanted to buy a franchise, to Connecticut, to Norfolk, Charlottesville. People love it. They recognize it, that it's a known quantity. It's a 90-year-old sustainable business model. Mm-hmm. And it could be just cheap to own as a Subway franchise if they wanted to do it. And we're about 90% done on the franchise system. And then the second part is food distribution. We've dabbled in that, getting the chili and the relish out there. We have a distribution deal in the wings for a 31 location gas station chain that wants the chili and the relish. Mm-hmm. I'm not the chili, but the relish. And we have another one with Made in Virginia, the state agricultural department, and to try to get the relish in the chili into local grocery stores like Food Lion and Kroger and all those. So.
Very cool. Very cool. What about here in Lynchburg? 2 locations. Any thoughts of a third? Any changes to the 2 that you've got?
I think we've got the right balance here between Cornerstone and downtown. You've got what used to be Campbell County. It was annexed by the city in 1976. Tell you how long I've been here. And they all go to Cornerstone, and everybody else goes downtown. And I think if you put one between, like on Ward's Road, you just screw everything up. But I think we are a good alternative to Waffle House or a Huddle House or something like that. But we'll let them take the middle. They can just keep their locations over on Ward's Road. I don't think I would open up another one here unless obviously with the growth of Liberty and everything else, you never know what's going to happen in the future. But we've looked at Charlottesville and we looked at Danville. Danville's very close to where the Jesse Jones are actually made. and there are a lot of fans of the bright red hot dogs down there. And so we've just, but we're kind of slow in our roll on that one. It took, 4 or 5 years to get the first, or the first expansion location started. And we're going to slow roll that and then focus on the food distribution and I think on the franchise system. So we'll see how it works out.
Dave, thank you. This has been great, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun. Thanks.
It's been great. Love the place. Love hearing about the history of it and how it's evolved and all that. And I know lots of people are going to really enjoy kind of, the deeper dive into what it's all about and some of the history and all that stuff. Well,
I hope so. And it's like it's been, like I said, a passion project of mine, and proud to be the owner of this iconic Lynchburg tradition.
And I'll say this, in honor of Reed, one of our guys here at James River Media, and I'm sure tons of other Lynchburg people. Thank you for buying it and saving it, because it's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's I get that a lot. And so happy to do it. It's kind of like my gift to my hometown. So hopefully we'll be able to keep it around for years and years and years.
Yeah, I was going to say we're on the clock, 9 more years.
Yeah,
right?
we got to make it to that 100th birthday party.
And I can imagine what kind of party that'll be.
Yeah. Well, we'll have our 91st birthday party in second week of October. So stay tuned. 91 years and 91 cent hot dogs. So we'll have them all day long, just like good cost of inflation. They're a penny more than they were last year on our 90th. But yes, we'll sell. Last year we sold 7,500 hot dogs in one day. So we'll see if we can break the record this year.
And that date again, October?
It's usually October 10th or 11th. It's because it's the 11th is the date, but it's either the 10th, 11th, or 12th, depending on what day of the week.
What day of the week? Again, okay. So. All right. Well, we'll stay tuned to social media to figure out what day that is.
We'll let you know when it's happening.
Take advantage. Dave Saunders, thank you.
You got it. Thanks a lot. It was a lot of fun.
Pleasure.